Hey guys, I am Ibigandscary. I'm bringing you another StarCraft 2 replay, this time featuring Wrath in our top left corner playing our red Terran, and in our bottom right we have XxDroidxX, our blue Terran. Both players are in Masters. I think Droid has a leg up on Wrath as far as points go, but not so much that I'm expecting him to get stomped by any stretch of the imagination. Ohana is a fantastic map. Everybody knows and loves it. I love the tile set. It's so double dreamy, especially over here, all that water. Absolutely gorgeous, but you have a low expansion guarded by some destructible debris leading you to the third, so you can open up that supplemental pathway and saturate that area a little bit faster. But the main pathway is just a moderate ramp leading down to some chopped up ground, making it difficult for Protoss and heavy Terran tech to move out and just stay in one large group. Surrounds are pretty difficult for Zerg because of so many small little cubbies, and there's a lot of vertical terrain for both players to take advantage of, and since it's TVT, I'm expecting some drop play. Early aggression is not out of the question, but it is quite a long march from one end of the map to the other one, since it is kind of a diagonal one type of spawn only. And remember, it's the beach, so you got the waves. It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. No early gas out of Droid, meaning that there's not a lot of super early tech. He does have that one barracks going down and grabbing that first gas, but it's pretty standard timing, as is with Wrath. He's not grabbing his double gas or anything like that. Normal timing, maybe throwing down an add-on on that barracks right away. Maybe we'll see some Reapers. Like I said, that vertical terrain makes Reapers pretty powerful, pretty potent on this map, but more likely this is going to be a 1 or 2 racks expand, because Ohana is so easy to get that first expo up. And really you just want to pay attention to who can keep that economic advantage for longer. Droid is continuing, neck and neck Harvester lead. I love it whenever you get up to Masters, because the difference in skill is so slight that even the smallest of differences can really make a huge change. We can see that there's no scout out of either player just yet at the 15 supply. Here comes the first differentiation, grabbing that command center, morphing to the orbital for Droid, but he's saving up his gas for something. He's almost got 100, maybe he's going to throw it on a factory immediately afterwards. Second gas is being grabbed by Wrath, and he's throwing down a tech lab on the barracks, but not building anything but a Reaper. Fantastic choice there. Like I said, that vertical terrain is going to be awesome, and with Heart of the Swarm coming out shortly, he'll be able to have Reapers that can scout the high ground if that upgrade actually stays in. Droid throwing down that factory. It looks like he is going to go mech. He's grabbing a secondary refinery. Could be that this is just going to be for some sort of Hellion harass, and he's going to go more of a heavy bile. Have to watch to see if a add-on, specifically reactor, is thrown on to that factory, and if a starport is thrown in short order. That SCV is paying for itself by scouting that Reaper. Wrath having a Reaper, single Reaper out on the ground right now, second one en route, and it also is already rallied down to the natural, which we can see isn't even, Droid's not making any motions like he wants that just yet. Looks like behind this Reaper harass from Wrath is going to be a factory. I can't wait for me just to say Wraith a couple of times, because I really like the Wraith Squadron books, and evidently there's a new one. I'm looking forward to reading that, but I'm kind of excited about it, and so forgive me if I have that little slip. Starport right next to a tech lab on the factory, so it looks like a Banshee harass coming out of Droid, which is would normally be fantastic, but with the Reapers positioning on the low ground, they might be able to jump up onto the high ground and scout that starport positioned right beside the factory. Hopefully Droid can be a little bit more aggressive with his Marines and might be able to pick off 1 or 2 of those Reapers. They don't have that out of combat healing ability. One SCV scouting the high ground so they can fire back. Unfortunately, with so many Marines on the high ground, they're quickly able to focus down that SCV, and the 2 Reapers have to escape while unscathed. They are, running with the tail between their legs. They really can't do any more damage. The wall off is down, but is complete. Reactor being added on to the barracks. Thank you. To the barracks, and it looks like the tech lab is thrown on. First Banshee underway. No cloak on the tech lab just yet. Maybe you won't even bother getting it since the Reapers are out. Another little poke at the front door, this time accompanied by a Hellion. Those Reapers doing some fantastic damage to the supply depot. With so many Marines, they're able to target down 1 of the Reapers, but at what cost? Only 4 Marines remaining. That barracks, that bunker's not quite done. Finally getting picked up by the bunker. The supply depot will fall, unable to repair it in time from the 2 SCVs. Will the Hellions try for a run by? It'll be risky. It looks like they do retreat. That first Banshee is out right now. There goes a scan from Wraith. Wrath just just double checking. You know, it was for some reason Droid really didn't want him in the base. It looked like it was for Banshees. Speaking of Banshees, we can see a one's coming out from Wraith. He is spending some money on that cloak, but with the first Banshee already out from Droid, he's going to be able to get some ground control back. Reapers and Hellions cannot fire up, and once he gets that ground control back, he'll probably move in and scout that the Banshee is coming out, and it looks like a Viking's already queued up for Wrath. He's making motions like he wants to take an expansion, though. The factory has reattached himself to the tech lab from the bunker, and will start by building some more static defenses in the form of a... oh, what's that called? Siege tank. Thank you. Where, oh where, did the Banshee go from... here we go. From Droid. I was wondering why he's not making motions towards the actual base is beyond me. I guess it was scouted by that scan, so it's pretty obvious to him that it's not going to be able to do any damage inside. He's got to suspect that the turret's already up for detection. Banshee coming from Wrath, though, is positioning right by the front door. The Viking is out. Is there enough energy? There is enough energy for the orbital. It looks like it's 70 energy. He's going to know that that aggression's coming. The Viking from Wrath is targeting down Droid's Banshee. It looks like the Viking from Droid already took down him, so an eye for an eye. No one really having an advantage. It looks like Wrath's a little bit... yeah, it was not the most successful Banshee harass in the world, but Droid bought himself some time by using that Banshee to focus down the Reapers. Those Reapers won't be there to kind of pop up and down the walls, so he's going to feel confident enough to go and take his own expansion. Building this command center on the low ground, the command center on the high ground is already done. So Wrath's going to be in a good position to take that, but I don't think he's got enough here to actually punish Droid taking that expansion. Maybe the Hellions will be able to push up, maybe get lucky and slip through the gap, but with two siege tanks already up on the high ground, two Vikings to scout, and probably won't have a problem taking out the Viking from Wrath. I don't think Droid has anything to worry about with taking this expansion. At the same time, he won't be able to move out for some time and actually punish Wrath for grabbing his own expansion. Wrath does have Force SCV up on Droid, and also with the command center just now being finished down on the low ground, the natural expansion, it's not going to be an orbital. He's going to miss out on one or two mules that Wrath's going to have up, and each one of those mules is going to translate directly into probably Marines, just because we can see another barracks being added on, one already with the reactor, and the tech lab researching STEM. I don't think he's going heavy ground. It'll probably be just a handful of siege tanks accompanying the heavy Marine ball. There goes the cloak, but a Raven already out for Droid. An excellent choice there. Mobile detection is going to save him all that energy that he can expend on mules, like the one he just dropped down below. There goes another handful of barracks being added on to this mix. The 1-1 is complete. It's interesting to see that the tech lab is still on the starport. Hopefully he gets some medevacs out shortly to support his increasingly bio play. There goes a medevac from Wrath. Maybe he's going to pick up a couple of those Marines, maybe poke at the front door again. Both players are not afraid to do small amounts of harass. Sending in that suicidal Banshee twice for Wrath is kind of wasteful, but there's not much that you can do with this number of Vikings, and he's also forcing Droid to play a little bit more defensive on the anti-air front. Single Hellion scouting around maybe for a hidden expansion, but there's nothing to fear there. At the same time, Wrath is grabbing his third. Interesting to see that the destructible debris has not been taken down just yet. It's more important for Zerg to do that than Terran, but it's so easy for Terran to do it, especially if the siege tank's positioned well within firing range. Droid is moving out, so hopefully those destructible debris go down shortly so that Wrath can defend this third, which is going to be very delicate. I really like this composition. Raven added into the mix, the Vikings to protect the Raven, and then the siege tanks just to provide covering fire, and the Marines just to protect the siege tanks in case they try for a mad charge. It's a very defensible formation, especially with that auto turret going down. This is going to be a slow and methodical push from Droid, but there's not much that Wrath can do to save this expansion. I expect we're going to see it canceled shortly. One Marine going to town on it, but with the SCV already taken down, there's not much that he has to do to defend it. That one Marine's going to be able to take it down completely. Probably going to wait until it gets to more critical health. Wow, Droid pulling all of them back. A little bit of damage on the Vikings as they're scouting the high ground, but they don't see anything too intimidating. Maybe was hoping to pick off that single Viking from Wrath. Stim has finished for Wrath, has not finished for Droid, so he's going to have one leg up on that. Also no upgrades for Droid, but we can see the +1 is done for Wrath. A couple spattering of siege tank fire, 1, 2, and 3 on a large ball of the Marines. There goes more than a handful being picked up on a medevac from Wrath, so we'll have to pay attention to that, as a drop down in the natural could be absolutely disastrous, as we can see that the huge ball of Marines are going to town on that command center. It does get taken down at 1 or 2 vengeful shots from the siege tanks. It evens up the supply lost tab, but not by much. Combat shields getting started for both players, as is the +2 for Wrath. Does he have the +1? He does have the +1. Very good, Wrath. Very good. 1-1 is also finished for Droid, so that's a very good play. Where did that drop go? Oh, it looks like he dropped the Marines on the low ground, trying to kind of intercept the siege tanks. Point defense drone from the Wrath, from the Raven, is a very, very good play, though. Picking up quite a lot of those projectiles, specifically from the Viking. Now that the majority of the Marines are kind of pulled back, there's not much that Wrath can do. I don't think Droid has enough to actually break this, and I think he agrees with me. He's going to pull back. I would suspect that he's going to take a third shortly, because he's got to be feeling very comfortable having denied the third from Wrath, keeping him contained, maybe leaving 1 or 2 units behind. It looks like that auto turret and points defense drone are going to fulfill that role. Wrath's probably going to try again for that third, but he's got to be careful. I mean, Droid's got a leg up on him as far as units are concerned. 6-4 for the siege tanks, 39-15 for the Marines. Yeah, he's down by the 1-1, and the 1-1's shortly to become 1-2 for Wrath. So I think Droid is in a little bit more of a stronger position. He's got that Viking out also, and Wrath's going to have to scramble just to catch up. We don't see a command center being built for Droid. I'd expect to see one shortly by the in the natural, so that it can just readjust. But he's adding on more and more bio unit production facilities, and finally threw on a reactor on that starport, so he'll be able to double time the production of medevacs, which is really the only thing he's missing from this unit composition. Just more siege tanks, more Marines, more medevacs, because you only need a handful of Vikings. He is throwing down that SCV on the third, and it looks like Wrath is just now preparing to get it. Oh, is he readjusting? He is. He's sending over his macro CC from home over there. Also the reactor on the starport, but currently producing some Vikings so that Wrath could take back the skies, something that he definitely needs if he's going to win this. I mean, he can't afford to have a Raven throwing down Hunter-Seeker missiles on his Marines, or more importantly, a point defense drone to defend against the Vikings and all sorts of shenanigans later on. It's a very underused tool that's incredibly powerful. Maybe not in this matchup as much as other ones. +2 being started for Droid, and it looks like Wrath has transitioned over to vehicle weapons, as well as the +2 armor for his infantry. A little bit of a back and forth here, but Droid's taking the high ground. There goes again that point defense drone. Some sieging up of siege tanks from Wrath could get off a lucky barrage on a couple of those Marines. It looks like he will do a couple firing, but all this is doing is expending energy from the medevacs. 2 Vikings being pretty ballsy trying to take down that Raven, but one of them falls as a result. Will Droid take down the other Viking? That could be absolutely disastrous. He really needs those Vikings, or at least to pull the Vikings from Droid out into the common ground, so he could quickly stem and push in with his Marines to take down 1 or 2 of those Vikings. The air is really what's making this matchup so dynamic. Usually you have something very, very stale at this time. But it looks like a couple Marines being lifted off from the medevac, moving off maybe to the 4th just to check if there's an expansion there, and then off into the main. Wrath is heavily defending his 3rd really nice spread for his siege tank line, but the medevac was intercepted by a really nice quick stem from Wrath, and pushing forward with his Marines to catch that. A big loss for Droid. He needed to make that work, but man, look at the resources lost tab, heavily in Droid's favor. 180 to 140 supply. He's got that 3rd up, mining fully, dropping down a bunch of units. A sensor tower being built for Wrath, not a bad idea at all, as well, accompanied by a missile turret. Sensor tower is one of those units that's only as good as you make it. You definitely need to justify the expenditure, but it can be something. If it stops one drop, it's definitely paid for itself. Long distance mining with the SCVs. Hopefully we're going to see one of these command centers readjust for Wrath so that he can take that 4th at the same time. That's probably what Droid's thinking. He's 200 over 200, going to be time for a large aggression. It looks like that aggression is going to be accompanied by a double drop of the medevacs, probably up to the 3rd. If Droid decides to steamroll, he won't have a problem with breaking the center hold from Wrath, but this huge siege tank line can be incredibly effective as far as attrition is concerned. It looks like he's making motions like he wants to take this fourth here, but with a bunker being produced there, it's probably going to be a while before he can take that. Those medevacs are on their way, but remember the sensor tower was built there, so he'll definitely have a huge warning that aggression's coming in, and in the intervening period, both players are approaching max. 200 over 200 for Droid already, but 197 over 200 for Wrath, and here comes the double aggression. Droid going to be pushing off to the fourth, which has just now been saturated, and the Marines are being dropped. The sensor tower gave him early warning, but I don't think it was heeded because the units haven't been pulled over there. The siege tanks have been unsieged, probably going to be inching closer. At the same time, Wrath is aware that Droid is poised over the fourth. He's got a much larger swell of Vikings, and with only 4 in the area, I think Droid's going to have to rely on the point defense drone from the Raven to defend there, and it looks like he has those 3. He's taken down all the Vikings from Wrath. Droid doing another drop behind mineral lines, but he's got to be careful with the 2 siege tanks there. Any movement of his Marines could prove to be disastrous. At the same time, Droid is pushing off sideways into the fourth, forcing once again Wrath to readjust with his siege tanks having to be pulled in 2 opposite directions. He really wants these siege tanks to be down. Accompany with his main force, the Marines, exposing themselves to so many massive hits. Here comes the stem from Droid, but he's been softened up so many times. Not enough medevacs there to keep his units alive. It looks like half of his Marines and medevacs were on the south side of that engagement. All of the siege tanks are being cleaned up there. At the same time, a couple little poke from the Marines in the top right corner has succeeded in taking down the siege tanks. It looks like these SCVs are trying to trick them to come back, but there's no siege tanks there to trick them into. Quick stem from Wrath forcing his Marines up, but there's no supporting structures there, so while these guys will be very cost effective, and it looks like 2 Marines die in that medevac, ultimately that's a loss for Droid. He did delay the mining there significantly. The resources loss tab is evened up, so ultimately I think that was a win for Wrath. But Droid, he did do damage. That wasn't a total wash. Unfortunately, it's 150 over 200. Wrath has definitely rallied behind this, getting out a couple of 4s, adding them into the mix, also producing his Vikings 2 at a time so that he can absolutely crush the weakened Air Force from Droid. He hasn't produced any Vikings behind the initial 3 that he had, and overall his numbers have kind of faltered. Some patrolling Marines up at the top will scout that Droid, or that Wrath is thinking about grabbing his 5th expansion here, and that signals Wrath to move off into the middle. Unfortunately, it exposes him to 3 siege tanks positioned right by the Xel'Naga watchtower, and those siege tanks, so many siege tanks just raining down fire, so much splash damage on all of the Marines, going down, just massive loss. This is a terrible engagement for Droid, and for the first time Wrath swings into the winning column for units lost. Upgrades are 1, but +2 is on the way for vehicle weapons. 3-3 fully upgraded Marines against the 3-2 for Droid, and he only has the +1 for armor. It looks like he was planning on transitioning to the Thors, but just hasn't had the time or the economy to get that up. We're running a little bit short on money. So many siege tanks pushing down. This time Wrath is being the aggressor into the 3rd. We can see that the supplies are significantly a problem for Droid, having to rally his units probably back into the natural, already losing this 3rd just to so many siege tanks. Droid tapping out against Wrath. Fantastic play by Droid early on, doing so much damage off of the early drops, and it was nice. It was very nice. I wonder which engagement was that. But his drops early on were fantastic, very successful, and then the drop over here with the dual aggression with the small army here and then the main army pushing off into this corner was very nice too. But Wrath just had some excellent unit control. He had some very nice map awareness, and he kept his cool during all of that aggression, and ultimately that just won him the game. Just having up this fantastic infrastructure allowed him to power off of even some bad engagements. He continually macroed and created very, very large armies, and it was very impressive. What else is impressive is you guys watching my videos, so if you have any games that you're especially proud of or you just want cast, you could PM me here or on Reddit. One way or another, I will see you guys later. I am Big and Scary. Bye.